this 3-part jewelry making class, you will learn how to make 4 interconnecting hexagons and turn them into something uniquely yours. In part 1, you will learn how to make the base unit using 4mm bicone crystals and size 11 seed beads. In part 2, you're going to learn how to use that base unit to make a bracelet. In part 3, we're going to take the same base unit, but this time using smaller 3mm bicone crystals and size 15 seed beads to form a ring. There are a total of 29 crystals in a base unit. You can make it with a combination of 3mm bicone crystals and size 15 seed beads, or 4mm bicone crystals and size 11 seed beads. Begin with 5.5 feet of thread for the bracelet or ring, and I suggest a size 12 beading needle. The very first hexagon of the 4-hex base starts out just like the first hexagon of the interconnecting straight bracelet. And if you've already made this bracelet, then this first one will be a refresher. So let's start with the 6 seed beads and bring them down near the end of your thread. Needle back through all 6 of those seed beads, and then I'll come through one more and pull all of this together to form the inner circle. It's a little bit loose. Just retrace your beads one more time to tighten up this inner circle. It's always good to start with a nice strong foundation to a project. When I get to the point where my working thread and tail meet, I will knot those together, pulling it tightly, and then needle a bead or two past the knot. And then I'll take my beloved surround cutters and trim off the wildfire tail. So in its simplest form, this pattern is based on triangles, which have 3 sides. So we'll start by picking up 3 crystals in total, 1 crystal, but between them we're placing a seed bead. So picking up another crystal and another seed bead and another crystal. Needle back through the seed bead here in the center circle that your thread is coming out of. And this pattern is similar to netting in the aspect that you don't want your thread to cross. So you're going to come up this side of your triangle formed by the 3 crystals, and we're going to form another triangle here. And the pattern shifts now to a seed bead crystal, seed bead crystal. And we're going to needle through the center circle back towards the section that we just added. And you'll see as we pull this together, that makes another triangle. They share this one crystal in common. And needle back through the crystal that they share in common. And we're going to follow the thread path. I usually go through a seed bead and crystal at a time. One more seed bead and crystal. And then needle through the next seed bead in the center circle. Again, a crystal seed bead, and come back down through this one, and then needle through the seed bead at the base between the 2 crystals. Counting the outside crystals, we have 3 triangles, 1, 2, and 3. And again, like netting, we're going to come up this one, the same pattern of a seed bead crystal, and needle through the next seed bead here in the center. Come up through the crystal that they share the wall of towards the outside. And now we need to come back over here towards the center and through one more of the seed beads here in the center. Again, we're using the crystal seed bead pattern and coming through the crystal towards the center. And we have one crystal left out of the 12. Needling through the seed bead here at the base between the two crystals. Coming up the crystal towards the outside edge. And like I said, this pattern starts out the same as if you were making the straight interconnecting bracelet. When you get to this point and you pull on this last outside edge of your triangle and step through the seed bead between the two crystals, it will be loose because it's only held on right here at this point. So you need to retrace this thread path one time to secure it. Doing this will not only secure it, giving your work a little bit more of a finished and polished look overall. Back towards the center 6 seed beads and through the one at the base of your bicones. And then needling up towards the outside of the hexagon. And then come through 1 seed bead and 1 bicone. You'll need to pick up a seed bead, bicone, seed bead, bicone, and seed bead, and needle back through the bicone that your thread is exiting, pulling that into another triangle unit. And now these 3 seed beads here will form another circle of 6, and these 3 seed beads here will form a circle of 6. Since our thread is here, we're going to be working on this side first. So just coming through the 1 seed bead, picking up 3 more, and needling through the 3 in the center. And I suggest that you retrace the center 6 seed beads one time. Just needle back through those. Doing so helps with your thread tension, keeping it all in place, and continuing around to this bicone until you come out the seed bead here before the bicone, and then step up through the bicone using the pattern of 1 seed bead, 1 crystal, and 1 seed bead, 1 crystal, needling through the seed bead here to form another triangle, coming through the crystal towards the outside edge, through the seed bead and crystal, and through the next seed bead and crystal towards the center, and through the next seed bead in the center. Again, another crystal and seed bead set 2 times, back through the crystal towards the center, through the seed bead at the base of the crystals, and then needle through the crystal towards the outside edge. 1 seed bead, 1 crystal, and 1 seed bead, filling the gap on this outside edge. This is the one that's loose, so I'll retrace it. Just retracing the outside edge of it and down the next seed bead and crystal towards the center. Next, we're going to form the other circle of 6 seed beads right here. So we're going to just needle through the seed bead and through the crystal and over. Needle down this 1 seed bead, through the crystal, and then step up into the seed bead. You need 3 more of the seed beads to form another inner circle of 6, pulling those into place, and then retracing them until you end up back here. This way you'll have good tension and a more uniform look. See how nicely that pulls it together. Coming through the seed bead just below the crystal, and then up through the crystal. Again, picking up a seed bead crystal, And you can needle through the next seed bead back towards the crystal, forming one more triangle, coming up through the crystal. So we complete this hexagon shape over here, through the seed bead and crystal, back down one more seed bead and crystal towards the center, and through the next seed bead. Again, a crystal seed bead, crystal seed bead. You want to needle down through the crystal towards the center, through the seed bead at the base of the two crystals, through the crystal towards the outside edge. And then to fill the little missing section, one seed bead, one crystal, and one seed bead back here through the crystal towards the center. And this is the one that's loose, so you can go ahead and retrace that. Just finishing up the retracing, exiting the bicone. And now you can see we need to come up here and add another center section of 6 seed beads. So we're going to trace along the inner path of these seed beads and through this crystal, coming through the seed beads, and then step up the crystal, and then needling through these 2 seed beads, picking up 3 more seed beads to complete the inner circle of 6, coming through here, pulling those together, and you just need to retrace this inner circle once, helping to set everything into place, continuing around and exit the seed bead right here below the bicone. And now we're almost finished here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 crystals here in the center, and we end up with 6, so just a little bit more to go. Coming through the crystal towards the outside. 1 seed bead, 1 crystal, 1 seed bead and 1 crystal. Back through the seed bead here in the middle. Adding another triangle section. Stepping up the crystal towards the outside edge. Through the seed bead and crystal. And through 1 more seed bead and crystal towards the center. Needle through your next seed bead in the center 6. Again, 2 pairs of crystals and seed beads, and needle down the crystal towards the center, through the seed bead at the base of the crystals, and then needling up the crystal towards the outside edge. And then just filling this gap here with the seed bead, crystal, and seed bead. And of course, this time we'll have to retrace that section through all those beads one more time and back to the center. I'm just going to move my thread up here to this bicone, coming through 1 seed bead, 1 crystal, until I'm here at the end. And to begin the bracelet, you need the base unit made with either 4mm bicone crystals or the one with 3mm bicone crystals. And if you're using the 4mm base unit, you need 6mm pearls, more of the 4mm bicone crystals, and size 11 seed beads. And likewise, if you're using the 3mm base, I suggest using 4mm pearls, more of the 3mm bicone crystals, and size 15 seed beads. To finish up the bracelet, I do use wire guards and pick a clasp of your choice, whether it's a toggle clasp or even a lobster claw would be nice. The bracelet is very easy to make. We're going to pick up a pattern using a seed bead, pearl, and seed bead, and then a crystal, another seed bead, pearl, and seed bead. And then needle through the opposite side of the crystal that your thread is exiting to form one of the little units for your bracelet. Follow the thread path over here through the crystal, coming through the seed bead, pearl, and seed bead, and through the crystal. Retrace that one time. Repeat the same pattern of beads and needle through the crystal and form another section of the bracelet through the seed bead, pearl, and seed bead, and through the crystal. Retrace this one time, and now you can continue for one side of your bracelet and a clasp of your choice. When you attach your clasp, don't forget to retrace that a few times. Then work your way back through the bracelet, retracing some of the units and securing with a knot before trimming off your thread. Cut a new length of thread and attach a needle. And now we're going to anchor it here in the existing base unit. To start the bracelet, the thread will need to end up here, but we're going to anchor it right here at this crystal, just above it, knotting it around the existing thread at least 2 times, pulling tight, and then needle through the bicone towards the center 6, 2 seed beads one at a time, 1, 2, and then through the bicone, and step through the seed bead and bicone to be in position to work on the other side of your bracelet. And just repeat the steps on the other side. And now we're going to be working on the ring. It has a lot more of a rounded feature to the overall shape, and a fun addition of the 2mm pearls. The band is made up of size 11 seed beads. You will now need to make one more 4-hex base unit, this time using the 3mm Bicone crystals and size 15 seed beads. You will need the 3mm base unit, 4 2mm pearls, 4 of the size 15 seed beads, and size 11 seed beads for the band. A special note for working with the size 15 seed beads. For the first circle, when you come back through the first one and pull it together, it won't be as loose as when you work with the size 11 seed beads. I don't recommend putting any knots here or retracing it more. It will just add bulk and get in the way. Just start pattern from here. We're going to start by taking the base shape here and turning it into this more circular shape with the 2mm little pearls. When you begin, you're exiting your bicone, and then needle through the next 2 seed beads and bicone. Give your thread a little tug to pull those together. We're just using the size 15 seed beads. We're going to pick one up and come into the next bicone. Again, pulling it together. It will start to get a bit of a curve, and then needle through the next 2 seed beads and bicone, continuing to pull everything tight. One more size 15 into this bicone here. Come through the next 2 seed beads and the bicone on the other end. Your piece will start to curve, and that will give your ring a domed top. Now turning it in my hand, we're going to repeat that on this side. Come through the 2 seed beads and the bicone, picking up one of the 15s, needle through the next bicone, pulling it tight, needle through the next 2 15s and bicone, and pick up the very last 15 and come into the next bicone. And then needle through 2 more seed beads and the bicone here on the end. Turning this over, you can see the dome shape, which gives the ring a lot of facets and a lot of sparkle. Next, we're going to set the 2mm pearls into the center of the 6 seed beads. You'll need to follow the thread path, coming through 1 seed bead and through 1 bicone towards the center section of 6 seed beads. Needle through 1 seed bead Picking up your pearl, and then needle through the seed bead on the opposite side, and then come back through the pearl. You can see this is the seed bead that your thread was coming out of to attach the pearl originally. Just needle back through the opposite side of that seed bead, pulling the pearl right into the center of your seed beads. Just continue to follow the thread path. Now I'm going to drop down a crystal and seed bead, and then come up one more crystal towards the center of these 6 seed beads. Step into one of the seed beads and add another pearl to the center, back through the pearl, and back through the seed bead, and then drop down a crystal through a seed bead and crystal, coming through 2 seed beads and 1 crystal up towards the center of this next section of 6 seed beads. So we have the 2 pearls on, and now attach the other 2 pearls, one here and one here, the same way. Step through a seed bead. Just make sure that when you do this, you are following your thread path along the way. I'm just working my way around to the next center of 6 seed beads, dropping down a crystal and through 1 seed bead and crystal, and then I'll be adding the last pearl. After you add your last pearl, work your way to the outside edge. Since this is a ring, it never hurts to make sure it's nice and sturdy. Retrace along the outside edge of the seed beads and crystals until you're back here at the bicone. I'm just finishing the retracing of my outside edge. Now that the top of the ring is complete, we'll be connecting a band right here off of the bicone crystal using size 11 seed beads. Picking up 4 of the size 11 seed beads, needle back through the crystal and then down 2. Picking up 1 more seed bead, come up the other 2, and back through the bicone. We're going to work right angle weave units right off of this point. So come down the 2 seed beads and step into the one on the end. Pick up 3 seed beads. Needle back through the seed bead that your thread is exiting. Pull those into a unit of right angle weave. And you need to needle up here to the end, coming through 1, stepping into the end. It is optional to retrace the right angle weave units, but doing so does help them keep their shape. Picking up 3 seed beads every time and coming back through the one that your thread is exiting. And now continue making the right angle weave units until you have enough length to turn this into a band. And I'll show you how to connect it over here. After you continue working on the length of your ring band, and it can almost touch when you wrap it around your finger, you're ready to connect it. Just make sure that when you do this, it's not twisted any. Exiting the seed bead here on the band, picking up 2 more, needle through the crystal, pulling that together, and then 2 more seed beads, coming back through the one here at the top of the right angle weave unit, pulling this together, needle back up the 2 seed beads, through the crystal, and down the 2 seed beads. And this time skipping over the top seed bead of the right angle weave unit, we can go directly into these 2. Pulling it all tight, forming that nice V shape. Thank goodness crystals have larger holes because back through the crystal and come down the 2 seed beads. If you like the band just the way it is, retrace some of these right angle weave units before ending off your thread. But if you want your band to have a fuller look, all you do is take 1 size 11 seed bead and needle through the next one on the edge, going that all the way down one side. Down here at the other end, picking up 1 seed bead and coming through the 2 and through the bicone and down the 2 seed beads, and then picking up 1 more seed bead and going through the next one that is sticking up, pulling that into place, and just continue doing that all the way down the other side. Adding the very last seed bead for the band, coming through these two and pulling it into place. Go back through the bicone and come down 2 of these seed beads. Just retrace your right angle weave units to lock your thread into place. And you can do that for 3, 4, 5 units as far as you want to go throughout the band. I hope you enjoyed learning how to make the 4-hex base sparkle with your new bracelets and rings, or even a matching set. And as always, I hope you have a beautiful day.